Welcome to one of our first installments in the Defense Against the Dark Arts series, or what we're now calling the Mental Self-Defense and Influence Mastery uh, cohort. Today we're going to be talking, this is going to be the first in what I hope will be a series of webinars on advanced mental self-defense and influence mastery tactics. So to what I like to call the introduction to the unbreakable mind. I want to ask you something really quickly. Let me find my notes really quick. The reason I'm a little out of breath is because everything just reset. I'm actually doing this from my laptop as opposed to my regular desktop. So I really appreciate your patience while I figure out where all my notes got to and which system they're on and stuff like that. So let me ask you guys a question real quick. How many of you have ever talked to another human being? Right? Just type yes, that's me in the chat, right? Okay. You ever been blindsided in an argument, been talking to somebody, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just say something, and you're doing stuff that you swore up and down you didn't want to do, you said you want to do, and you just went along with it, right? And like 20 minutes in, like, what the hell was, how did that happen, right? Just type that's me in the chat, right? If you've ever been paralyzed when somebody yelled at you, like maybe you're having a discussion with somebody, right? And they raise their voice and you just like lock up. Ever had that happen? Yeah, yeah, me too, me too. Been there, done that, right? If you've, well, obviously, you've ever been manipulated or emotionally overwhelmed by someone. Yes, true, false. Yes. Oh, who said I'm a sucker? Brittany says I'm a sucker. All right. Um, you ever been lied to? Like you thought this person was above board. Maybe there was something in your gut that said, nah, maybe not, nah, there's something not wrong there. Or maybe they just completely blindsided you, didn't catch it, right? These are all things that happen to all of us every single day. My name is Dr. David Snyder, and today I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey. I'm going to take you on a journey, and during this process, we're going to teach you a three-point system that's going to allow you to instantly detect, profile, and counter any form of covert manipulation. Now, let me be very, very, very clear. If this is the scope of everything there is to learn in this art and science, and there's a lot of science and there's a lot of art to it, then even if this is all, as much as there is, we have time for this. So I'm going to take you as far into this as I can. But my goal whenever I teach these kinds of webinars is to make sure you come away with a skill set, something that you can actually take out into the field and use. So what I've done is I've cherry picked some of the newest discoveries, some of the newest ideas from our research into this particular aspect of human influence. And I've distilled it down into three basic areas. We're going to talk about the LIDA profile gateway, which is how can you in an instant begin to create a profile of somebody in as little as 60 seconds, right? What are the three things you look at right off the bat that tells you where to start so you can calculate deviance? We're going to talk about um, how to take yourself off the menu. I think before we get into the actual training of the techniques, which is what we came for, we need to know why the hell are they picking on us in the first place? Like, what is it about us that puts us on the menu, that puts us in their sights, right? And again, I do whole 5-day webinars on this or trainings on this. It's been a very, very this content can be a little dark sometimes, but I got to tell you that it's probably the content in this webinar and the things that come from it are easily one of the most important skill sets we can have. And they're the ones that everybody wants to know about, but at the end of the day, they come away with information, but they don't know how to apply it, or they're not ready or willing to apply it. So, like I said, I'm working on multiple computers simultaneously here because, like I said, Microsoft at the last minute just decided to reboot everything. So, and my PowerPoint is actually on the other one, but I don't need the PowerPoint. I have notes. Um, so let's talk about what puts you on the menu. So you're going to want to stay till the end of the webinar because we put together a package for you, as you probably know. And it's going to help you fill in all the gaps. We're going to give you a little piece of profiling and a little piece of counter manipulation tactics. Now we're going to teach you in a really cool way how to stop an argument in its tracks, right? We call them counter scripts. And counter scripts are this really cool um, little one or two word, 2 or 3 word phrases that will create in the person what we call a pattern interrupt. And a pattern interrupt, if you think of a train on a track, right? Your train of thoughts go in one way, and all of a sudden somebody flips the switch and the track switches. I'm going to teach you how to be in control of that switch so that the moment you detect any form of manipulation, and manipulation can take many forms, but what you're going to figure out is that there's actually a pattern to this influence that we want to begin to learn to spot so that we can nip it in the bud. And then, of course, we have to go from defense to counter offense. In other words, how do we counter these things? Not just how do we detect people who are doing it, how do we protect ourselves from that influence? How do we push back? How do we turn the tables on these people? And how do we make that something that we're actually willing to do? You see, that's the big problem. The big problem is because of your specific profile. And when I read the profile, there's only 3 big things that people, these predators look for, whether they're considered narcissists, sociopaths, Machiavellians, whatever. Anybody who's engaged in predatory psychology, they have an optimal predator profile or a victim profile that they're looking for. And so these are things that we really have to understand better, but then we have to look at ourselves in a really honest way and take ourselves off the menu, so to speak, right? So I'm going to teach you about the 1 minute baseline. I'm going to teach you about, and we call this triple Q detection. I'm going to teach you the counter manipulation technique. It's called a 2-second pattern interrupt. And then I want to teach you about something we call the ASP or master key process. And this is, again, detect, profile, counter blueprint, those kinds of things. So those are kind of what I have on the menu for you, right? But like I said, whenever I start a webinar, I always want to know more about you, right? What is it you want to know about? What do you want to take away from this training, right? So go ahead and type in the chat. If you could come away with like one big thing, one big takeaway that would make your time on this webinar all worthwhile. Barbara says awareness. Perfect. Excellent. We're going to go really quick because I actually have another event that I have to do, but break people pleasing tendencies. Okay. Very good. Very good. Let's see what else we got here. Awareness of how to defend against it. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Anybody else? Go ahead. Don't be bashful. By the way, shouting out to my brothers and sisters in YouTube land. Once again, normally I normally have my other chat going so that they can chime in. I'm operating one computer today instead of 3, so I'm a little bit I can't see your questions, but maybe if Moss or Mia, who is monitoring the chat, if they can put them in this Zoom chat, I can answer the questions through YouTube that way. Like I said, I want to get to the content as quickly as I can, but I want to make sure nobody gets left out. Okay. All right. So let's talk about what is it really going to take, or what do these people actually look for, right? Let me go to my notes really quick. So type this in the chat if this sounds like you. Narcissists and antisocial types aren't magical monsters. They're pattern predators, right? So they hunt for openings like loneliness and poor boundaries and unmet needs and people who dismiss the red flags, right? Manipulators they don't seek to overpower you directly, not right away. What they actually do is they do the same thing I'm going to teach you to do. They're going to map you. They're going to profile you. And then they're going to use your own patterns to get you to do what they want you to do, right? Okay. So this is this is a skill set. This is something you can learn to do, not so you can go out and be the next bad guy or the evil person, but so you can actually win the game, right? So there's 3 traits that manipulators target. If I'm going to read these out loud, and if this has ever been you, right? I want you to type "that's me" or just type a 1 in the chat. A, one of the first things that manipulators target is people who have empathy without boundaries. If you consider yourself a highly empathic, overly empathic person, go ahead and type one, or that's me in the chat. And that should be the first thing that you should be very, very aware of. You see, generous people, they're looking for generous people who don't say no fast enough. They're looking for people who, if they push just a little bit harder or ask a little bit more emphatically, the person gives in, right? If that's ever, Jan says, yep. Faith says, sadly, without strong boundaries, I'm working on it. Yes, you are. And we're going to help you. We're going to help you with that. Okay. That hit home. Yes. Yes. You're going to find that more often than not, the people who are nailed the hardest with this are the compassionate souls out there, the healers, the people who just want to help, the people who are socialized into being a good person, right? The people who are raised that if you just give and give and give and give and give, the universe will give back. Well, you're like catnip to these social predators. So one of the most important things we have to learn if we're going to develop the unbreakable mind, right? Which is really the name of tonight's webinar, isn't it? How do we become the person who can say no, set their boundaries, hold them, and keep holding them and defend them when the bad guys of the world are just unloading on us? Right? How can we shore up our walls? How can we plug those holes in our defenses? How can we move through the world without having to defend ourselves? Wouldn't that be nice? Right? If we represented such a powerful and confident and assertive personality, a sense of self and identity that predators looked at us and said, would look at us and say, nope, not that one. Right? Wouldn't that be nice? Well, there is a path to that, right? But it does require some transformation. It requires commitment, right? I, I'm a hypnotist, and I'm probably one of the world's leading proponents on fast change, right? I've been in clinical practice for almost over 20 years now, where my specialty has been treating physiological and terminal chronic illness due to repressed emotion. And we fix stuff in minutes that most people take years and hour and months to do, or decades to do. Sometimes they never get healed. Now, we don't do that with everyone, obviously, but the people who come to us have a very, very high success rate, and we do it really, really quick. And I will put our change work models up against anyone out there. I believe in fast, rapid change. I really do. I believe it's possible. I believe it's desirable. But I also know that fast and rapid is relative. That means that if you have 30 years of practicing just giving and giving and giving, even when you know it's hurting you, if you have years and years and years of habit where you just give up your boundaries, well, we can go in and we can clean up the reasons those things happened. But you have to take the reins and act out and rehearse the behaviors you want to perform instead. Now, sometimes that's 5 to 10 reps and you're done. You got this. Sometimes it's 100 reps. I'll show you how to get faster at those transformations, but you still have to do something. You have to commit to your own transformation. Is that fair? To have something different, you got to do something different. Would that make sense? Okay. So at some point, I put together a program for you, and some of the techniques that I'm going to teach with you are in those programs, and there's some really super advanced techniques as well. So I'm going to share with you the whole program later on. And if you're ready to do something different so you can have something different, I'm going to invite you to take advantage of it when it becomes available to you. All right, so that's trait number one, boundary issues or overly empathic individuals. Okay, we need to be careful of this. Okay, here's trait number two, high need for validation. How many of you have ever hung on the approval of another human being who wanted so desperately for someone to like you, believe in you, trust in you, that you're willing to bend over backwards just to feel accepted and understood and appreciated, right? If that's you, go ahead and type that in the chat. I mean, honestly, this is the one that probably embarrasses most people because nobody really wants to admit they want to be part of the group. They want to be liked. They want to be one of the cool kids, right? They don't want to admit that. It's hard. I had that issue. I do what I a lot of what I do is because of that need to be loved and accepted and protected and or accepted, right? The human need for validation is one of the single most powerful leveraging points in our experience. And if you understand how that works and how you work, then you can use it to move through the world getting everything you want by making people feel ridiculously good about themselves and showing them how to get whatever they want. You want whatever you showing them how to get whatever they want by doing what you want, right? That is what we call the art of win-win. That's done through validation as well. The difference is the predators of the world, they don't believe in a win-win. They don't care about the win-win, right? And that's what makes them a predator. They see somebody who's overly generous, who has wishy-washy boundaries, right? Who has a high need for validation, who needs to be accepted or loved or approved of, who's lonely. You know the old song, two out of three ain't bad? That's what they're looking for, right? So we need to really, really um, take an honest inventory of ourselves. We need to really look at what's behind that need for validation, and we need to shore up those holes. We need to fill in those gaps, right? We have some very powerful processes, our identity by design protocol, and our holographic regression therapy trainings and stuff like that, where you go in and you just rebuild your personality and your identity from the inside out. Really, really powerful training, right? And it can really go a long way in generating that inner version of yourself that is truly powerful and unstoppable. Okay. Okay, very good. All right. Last one. How many of you had at least two? I've checked both boxes so far. Be honest. How many of you pay? I've checked at least two. I've checked the two boxes so far. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I check them too. I check them too. Believe me, I have been the reason I do this, I started the webinar. The reason I do this, guys, is because when I was little, when I was young, I was targeted for everything. Everything, every possible humiliating thing that you think can happen to a young boy happened to me. Okay. Um, and it dramatically affected me. How many of you have ever been to one of my face reading webinars? Anybody? Right? I have my war wounds from my face reading webinars, right? So what is it? So yeah, if you ever see me talk about face reading, and you see me talk about these little wrinkles on the side of my ear, on the side of my head here or here, we call these auditory intuition lines. And they're a byproduct of growing up in a verbally hostile environment. They're developed as a form of auditory hypervigilance that people who are constantly yelled at, manipulated, who have to really pay attention to the subtle tones and things in how people are speaking, to listen between the lines. It starts as a form of auditory hypervigilance that later becomes a superpower if they use it for therapy, coaching, mediation, negotiation, things of that nature. It's a really interesting trait, but it develops largely from growing up in a hostile environment. Maureen, you should have those. Maureen, you might have them, but you might have other traits or other qualities that on your facial markings that would signal you have a lot of that built in. I don't know if I don't have time to do the face reading side of it today. We do have a program we call Face Reading Love, Lies, and Leadership, where we talk about the specific markings on the face that can be indicators either of people who are primary targets for manipulation or who are potential predators. We actually did that class like 3 or 4 weeks ago. People loved it. They said it was actually better than our regular face reading class. And so if people are interested, maybe we'll add that into the Unbreakable Mind Defense Against the Dark Arts series, and people can take it. How many people would be interested in a class on face reading for those kinds of applications? Anybody? Okay, cool, cool. Um, Let me see here. All right. So did we get the third one? Did I give you guys the third one yet? Okay. So let's look at number three, shall we? Number three is conflict avoidance. This is the terrible trio number three. Conflict avoidance. How many of you have ever just shut up to not cause the argument, to not want to not want to have a fuss, to go along to get along, right? Somebody's obviously stepped on your boundary. Your dander's up, but you don't say anything because you don't want to start a fight. You don't want to make a scene, right? You're afraid, what if it escalates? Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what these kinds of people are looking for in you. They're looking for people who have a strong sensitivity and empathy to the people around them. So much so that they're willing to give up things or bend over backwards to ease the suffering that they're seeing. Now, here's what's interesting about that. I had this conversation with one of my megas the other day. A lot of times, how many people here have ever seen this? You see somebody who's obviously suffering. How many people have ever seen somebody suffering? Type it in the chat. There's a reason for this, right? You're not going to like it, but I'm going to tell you, right? All right. How many of us have done something to help that person? Okay. How many of us, now I want you to pay attention to the order that something comes up in your mind first. How many of you help that person because watching them suffer hurt you? Watching them suffer caused you pain. Ladies and gentlemen, that is selfishness. That is selfishness. Because a highly empathic person, empathy is the understanding of what somebody's going through. We all understand this, right? Hyper-empathic people go into what we call sympathy. Sympathy is feeling what the other person's feeling. But a lot of the decisions we make, a lot of the behaviors and the actions that we take, we're not taking because we just want to simply help this other person. We're helping them because it helps us stop suffering. You understand the distinction? Helping somebody because it's the right thing to do wouldn't matter if they said thank you or not, right? But helping somebody because we're suffering, watching them, that's a selfish motive. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But we need to own it. That's again, I bring this up largely because if we really want to have an unbreakable mind, or to have to become the kind of person that can stand in the light of their truth, as my teacher Lillian used to say, someone who knows what's right in their heart, knows where their boundaries are, and is willing to fight for that, we need to be super honest with ourselves, right? And that's one of the more gentle cases I can give you where we can start to really focus in on why are we really doing what we're doing, right? Are we helping them because it's the right thing to do? Or are we helping them because it hurts us to watch them suffer and it's the right thing to do? Which one comes up first in your mind, right? It's okay to be selfish. I like to believe, I don't believe in altruism, by the way. Even though I help a lot of people for free, I don't believe in altruism. I believe in enlightened selfishness, right? And I would recommend for all of you hyper empathic people out there as well, that you start to embrace this idea of enlightened selfishness. Okay. Why? Because it's going to give you the strength to say no. It's going to give you the ability or more of a willingness to set your boundaries and keep them. Okay. I've been a self-defense instructor for many, many years, probably longer than I haven't been an instructor of one kind or another. And I've taught some amazingly cool techniques. I've worked with a lot of different people. And the problem I see with most martial arts systems isn't the system. It's the person studying it. You see, if you don't develop a mindset and an attitude and an energy, but most importantly, a willingness, not a desire, but a willingness to confront people, you will never use the skills you acquire, right? I think Napoleon called it the will to conquest. Well, it's not exactly what we're doing. My teacher, Kevin Sikora up in Montreal, he called it the predator prey switch, right? Most women, I'm gonna throw women under the bus here for a moment. Could this be a father? Of course. But I'm a Generation Xer, so you have to forgive my archaic terminology. Most women are very accommodating. They're very passive until the babies are threatened. And then Mama Bear comes out, right? And get out of that woman's way because she will go over, around, and through you to protect her cubs. True, not true, right? The problem is she'll only do it for her cubs. She won't do it for herself. And we need to fix that. We need to get access to that Wolverine inside of us that comes out and flip it on and off like a switch. Now, the good news is I'm talking in worst case scenarios, right? Where there's going to be a physical altercation, but there's a mindset that goes with this, right? And again, as much as I don't like to skew negative on these things, I got to be honest with you. That's why you come here, right? You want actual honest stuff, but you want honesty, and that's what I'm going to give you. You got to be willing to do this, and you got to be willing to do whatever it takes. Does that make sense? Now, the more profiling you learn, the more lie detection skills you learn, the less you'll need the other stuff. But let's assume for the moment that you don't see it coming. You don't have those skills. Worst case scenario, how are you going to extract? How are you going to get out of that? Right? How are we going to do that? Okay. And that's what Unbreakable Mind is the beginning of for you. Unbreakable Mind is the beginning of developing the skill set of observation and profiling, the skill of intervention or interrupting, and the skill of redirecting, right? The ability to turn the tables around on the person. Okay. So just to review, the top three traits that put you on the chart or the menu for the predator: overdeveloped sense of empathy and nebulous or permeable borders or boundaries. A deep need for validation, and a desire to avoid confrontation or conflict. Okay. If you checked two or more of those boxes, you're in the right place. Okay. So let me go ahead and look at my notes really quick because my PowerPoint is dead. That's just so funny. Okay. Let's talk about the 1 minute baseline. So one of the things we talk about in the Defense Against the Dark Arts system or mental self-defense system is this ability to detect lies, this ability to detect deception or predatory behavior. Now, when we start talking about predatory behavior, we're talking about people who are going to encroach on your boundaries, love bomb you, and then take it away. We call that love bombing and negging. So it's a push-pull kind of an energy that really messes with your self-esteem and your identity. Okay. What do we look at when we see somebody for the first time, or even if it's somebody we know? How do we begin this art of profiling? Well, we're going to go back to basic kinesic interview and interrogation skills. We're going to go back to basic kinesiology, or not kinesiology, kinesics. So the first thing to understand that there is no single trait that anyone puts off that signals deception. Most deception indicators are stress indicators. How many of you have seen my freeze video? The what most important cue to watch. I re-released it on YouTube where I'm demonstrating with Holly the freeze. How many of you have seen that? This means yes. Okay. If you haven't, go watch it. It's probably it checks all the boxes. The other one, when it comes to lie detection, is called a triple cross. Now you can only see me from the chest up here, but a triple cross is where somebody might cross their legs, cross their arms, and then turn their and twist their body. That's called a triple cross. Anytime you see triple crosses, and it can be the fingers, it can be the legs, right? Anytime you see that triple cross showing up, there's a high probability of deception, but it's really indicating an extreme need for protection, right? So, but how do we even begin the process of recognizing that? Well, in kinesics, we talk about no single data point means anything. And those data points, an IQ, a microexpression, a gesture, right, a turn of the face, they don't mean anything except as it relates to the context and what this person does normally. And that brings us to your second cue, basically. First one is called clustering. When you start to see deviations from a baseline, from what they do normally in groups of two and three, now you can start to gauge um, levels of comfort. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at is what we call the triple Q detection system. So we're going to look at three things when we're working with people. We're going to look at their feet, we're going to look at their hands, we're going to look at their eyes. So again, watch feet, hands, and eyes. Why? These are the three things that are going to change the most. Now, we have to watch the eyes because the eyes, we have pupil dilation, we have blink rate, and we have what we call shutter speed. Shutter speed is the speed at which an eye opens and closes. Blink rate is the amount of times in a minute that that blink happens. So I could have somebody who has a very fast blink rate or shutter speed, but a very slow blink rate. So I might be here, just gonna stare at the camera. You see how it jumps out at you? Fast blink rate, but not many blinks. If you guys caught that, go ahead and type that in the chat. You with me, guys? Okay, good. All right. Now I'm exaggerating the cue so you have an idea of what's going on, right? What does a high blink rate look like? Well, it's really hard. Yeah, it was creepy, wasn't it? Right? Um, what does a high blink rate look like? Well, what's interesting is you can have a high shutter speed and not have a high blink rate, but it's really hard to have a high blink rate without a higher shutter speed. So a higher blink rate would look like this. Every now and did you guys catch that one, by the way? Or do I need to do it longer? Okay. Now, one that I want you guys, I wasn't going to talk about this one, but one of the things that I want you guys to start paying attention to, this is especially important for you guys. How many coaches and therapists do we have on the call tonight? Okay. Now, again, I'm a Gen Xer, and so some of my terminology or my pronouns might not be up to speed. My gender orientations may not be as broad as I normally would like to make them. What if someone keeps their eyes closed while talking? They're suppressing emotion. Okay. And that brings us to what I was going to talk about. I'm going to talk about a phenomenon known as frivolation. How many of you have ever watched somebody in a deep trance or while they're sleeping? I know that's creepy too, right? You ever notice that when they're asleep, sometimes you'll see their eyes moving under their eyelids, but every now and then you'll also see this. Can you see what my eyes were doing? Wasn't trying to give you zombie eyes or anything. You see those little micro blinks? That's called frivolation. What happens a lot, and I see this, I'll be honest, I've seen it in men, but it's predominantly in females. And I think it's largely because women have a stronger estrogen uh, uh, influence in their bodies, but their brains are wired differently too. Women experience emotion and language much differently neurologically than men do. So I think that might have something to do with the higher incidence of frivolation that I see in people. Now, when you're talking to somebody, a lot of times what will happen, especially if they're trying to suppress a strong emotion or they're reliving a very strong emotional experience, you will see that little eye flicker, a little eyelid flicker. It's like it doesn't completely close, but it just kind of flickers there. Like you saw me do it, right? And what you're seeing there is an attempt at suppressing an emotion they're experiencing as they're reliving a memory, right? Um, I absolutely look for this when I have a hypnosis client or I'm dealing with people, either my family or my children romantically or whatever, because people experience all kinds of emotions all the time, but they don't always want to share them. They don't want you to know what they're feeling. Okay. Yeah, a lot of times, like they'll be talking to somebody, and they'll be doing what we call a transderivational search. A transderivational search is your nervous system's search for memories or to rectify confusion or cognitive dissonance or something. Anytime your brain shifts from outside of you to inside of you to process something, that's what we call a transderivational search, right? And the transderivational search mechanism is actually something that we're going to teach you to target in part two of the webinar. But first, we want to talk about the um, the LiDAR profile gateway, which is the 3-second cue. So when we look at the eyes, the first thing, as we walk up to somebody, the first three things we look at as we approach them is their eyes, their hands, and their feet. The eyes are going to have the greatest degree of conscious control because we're always taught to look people in the eyes, right? And so they'll control the eyes, the face, people can control their faces much better than any other part of their body because they are trained to do that because everybody's taught to look people in the eye. And we're taught that a liar can't look you in the eye. That is a lie. Liar. I know lots of people who look right to me, look me straight in the eye and fucking lied to me. Okay? It's not true. It's a lie perpetrated by people who lie. All right. So we want to look at the hands, what the hands do and where they go, and the spacing that they use will often give us indications of intention. Right? If people have very strong, very stable gestures, and all of a sudden they don't know what to do with their hands, this is somebody who's experiencing a higher degree of neurological arousal. Right? A lot of times when people are talking way beyond their capacity, their hands will go beyond their body line. I think it's Mark Bowden had a great body language cue that he taught in one of his books. It was called the Truth Zone, I think it was called. And it's this area between the stomach and the chest, I believe. And he says, as long as your hands are in here, you're usually being very credible. But the moment your hands come outside that box, right? You start to generate a little bit more dissonance in people. So look at people. Do they not know what to do with their hands? Where do they stick their hands? If someone's very calm, very confident, and all of a sudden you ask them a question about where they were last night, and they go, hmm. Okay. We call those gestures shushing. And this is an attempt not to speak, but it's done with the hands. Or object insertion into the mouth. It could be a finger, it could be a pencil. Also attempts at not allowing information to come out. Okay, so we want to look at the hands. We want to look at the eyes. Last, we want to look at the feet. Now, why the feet? The feet are the furthest appendage away from our brain. They tend to be the one that people pay the least conscious attention to, and therefore they tend to be the ones that will signal the greatest degree of unconscious motivation. So if you can't see my feet, obviously, but if someone's looking at me and their feet are directly pointed straight at me, we now have what I call ventral orientation. If I took a laser line and drove it right down the center of my body, right? That line and that line between my eyes called the constructive center. That's where all my vital organs are. This is my most vulnerable zone in my body. And if my feet are pointed directly at you, you have direct access to every vital organ I have. People only do that when they're going to confront or they feel safe and comfortable. They do it differently in confrontation than they do when they're comfortable. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that if we have time. I don't, it's tonight's webinar is going to be fairly short, which is not usual for me. Usually I love to spend as much time with you as humanly possible, but my daughter has a concert tonight and I promised her Daddy would be there. So you're just going to have to bear with me on this. But I do invite you to grab the replay when it becomes available, and by all means grab a hold when we talk about the program that we put together for you, which is really cool. We've got an amazing program that will just completely arm you to the teeth to go out there into the world and really take yourself off the menu and actually move your life forward by giving you the confidence to say no when you want to say no, yes when you want to say yes, and be aware of the people who are going to try to manipulate you otherwise. Right? That's my commitment to you is I'm going to teach you what I can. I'm going to point you in the direction of where to go to get the rest of it. And once you're in the program, I'm going to personally mentor you to the highest degree possible, based on the dynamics of the program to make sure you own this. Right? That's my commitment to you. Right? Faith says she's sick of being targeted by manipulators. She's ready to reclaim her power. If you're ready to reclaim your power, type it in the chat. Say, I reclaim my power now. We're going to do this. Okay? Very cool. All right. So let's talk about the feet a little bit. Oh, very good. You guys are good. I reclaimed my power yesterday. Woo! I love that. All right. You YouTubers, go ahead and type that in the chat. You got this. All right. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Very good. Very good. All right. Let's talk about the feet one more time. So the other thing we want to look about is, does one foot point away? So if my feet are pointing straight ahead, just pretend this is my feet, right? My feet are pointing straight ahead. I now have ventral orientation. I have ventral orientation. I have constructive center orientation. I am somebody who feels confident, safe, and comfortable. Situation. If my feet, one foot angles side, like so, like one foot's leaving or pointing in another direction, you'll notice when I do that, my ventral orientation changes, doesn't it? Brittany says it's so good to see you. It's good to see you too, Britt. Good to see you too. Right? So now, is it as easy to get to my central line? Is it as easy to get to my vital organs? Not as easy, right? Now, sometimes you'll see this. I don't know how to do this without okay, so right now my feet are facing you just like we're talking, right? Sometimes what you'll see is this. Now, you can tell my feet aren't pointed straight ahead, can't you? Right? What you're not seeing is that both of my feet are pointing this way. I've twisted my torso to face you. What does that signal? It means I'm not comfortable in this interaction and I'm looking for a chance to get away. I'm looking for a chance to get away. Okay? Now, there are ways to hack that. Exactly. The other way that people escape is by interposing blockages. They put barriers between their ventral line and the other person. So that shushing gesture we talked about with the hands, when we do this, are we crossing our mouth? Yes or no? Are our arms crossed over our bodies? Is my ventral line closed? That's a triple cross, right? A lot of times when a woman and a man are having a conversation and the woman feels a little bit unsafe, a lot of times what you'll see, I can't, again, if this is a vertical posture, this is a vertical posture, right? What you'll see a lot of times is this. They'll actually lean, they'll have their uh, they'll keep their hips in place, but they'll lean back a little further. This is again, it's not part of the 1 minute baseline, but it is something that I teach in the advanced portions of this in Defense Against the Dark Arts. First thing we focus on is ventral orientation, postures, and eye movements. Tammy says, so there's a single, double, and triple cross. Yes, yes. The more things a person crosses, the more stress they're usually trying to conceal or manage. Remember that all deception indicators are really just stress indicators. They're indications that a person is experiencing a heightened level of stress in their body, and they're trying to suppress and manage it. There is, unless I hook you up to an fMRI or some other brain scanning device, there really isn't any organic way that we science has proven, really, to tell a definitive cue that indicates lying. There's just clusters of behaviors. And that's the thing that we need to understand. Power poses do the opposite. In many ways, that's true faith. Power poses many times are a good way. In fact, we teach power posing as part of our state control module, which is actually kind of cool. Again, I don't know if I have time to get into any of that, but if you haven't seen power poses by Dr. Faith or Dr. Amy Cuddy, it's a good TED Talk. It's worth studying. It's become an integral part of our curriculum. We were doing things well, actually far more advanced than Dr. Cuddy tested for decades before her science came out, but she did the actual science. We've known that the physiology controls the psychology for a good 30 years. We just didn't have the resources other than the field to go out and prove that. So I hired. No, it's Amy Cuddy. I was thinking of Faith Popcorn, who writes the Popcorn Report for some reason. I don't know why. My apologies to both. All right, let's talk about. Is everybody clear on the triple Q baseline? Okay. All right. So let's talk about something that happens to many of us, right? A lot of times when we're interacting with somebody who's seeking to manipulate us, what you're going to experience is what we call a limbic attack. A limbic attack. You have three levels to your brain. You have your reptile brain, which is the part of you that does fight or flight. It's the part of you that is the breed and feed side of you. It's the part of you that wants to produce more offspring and take care of them, but it's impulse driven. It's instinctive. Okay. It's the reptile part of you. Overlaying that, a layer of your brain that came later became known as the limbic system. The limbic system is your emotional brain, right? It's the part of you that feels sadness and it feels happy and it feels gratitude and it feels fear and nervousness and shyness, and it has memories attached to it, right? Then you have your neocortex. That neocortex is that newer layer of your brain, right? And the neocortex is the part of you that is hearing me talk right now and saying, what's he, does he mean the mammalian brain? It's that little voice that's giving you the internal dialogue, the part of you that speaks in words. The neocortex literally means the new layer, right? It is the 2-year-old of the body. One of the things you need to understand about your body, about your brain, is that the older the part of a part of your body it is, the longer it's been there, the more power it has. So remember, the part of your brain that came first was the lizard brain, the reptile brain, the paleocortex. It is the most powerful part of you. And it does not need your permission to do anything. Let me say that 2 more times. The reptile part of your brain does not need your permission to do anything. Why? Because it is the instinctive brain. It is the part of you that when everything else goes to shit, it's going to take over. It's the part of you that keeps your lungs breathing, your heart beating, your hormones pumping. It's the oldest part of you. It has stood the test of time. It is the strongest part of you. When we work at the unconscious level in our clinic, we divide the unconscious into two levels, really. You have the conscious mind, and then you have the subconscious mind, and then you have the unconscious mind. And that's an arbitrary distinction. Many people would not make that distinction. We do in my systems. The subconscious mind is your limbic emotional brain, right? It's the part of you that remembers, has memories, and has feelings about those memories and things of that nature. The unconscious part of you also has access to that information, but what it cares about is keeping your heart beating, your immune system functioning, your heart breathing, your lungs breathing, those things. Of course, there's an interaction and an interconnection, but they're much more, but the unconscious is much more primal and much more fundamental in accessing your actual human potentials. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, it's your reptile brain and that brain and that spinal cord that actually lets you do a lot of the superhuman stuff that people have been known to do, right? My megas in my super advanced coaching class, they learned their first telekinesis drills last weekend. They were actually they hung a straw from a piece of string and they put a case over the top of it and they made the straw move, right? Well, that didn't happen until they learned to shut off the neocortex and the limbic system and access their energy body and their other senses through the brainstem and the spinal cord. Okay. So, and if anybody wants, I did take one small video of one of my students moving the straw. It's hard to see, but yeah, yeah. We have access. We do some really cool stuff, but most people that's not really what they came for, so we're not going to talk about it. I'm just going to tease you a little bit. But getting back to this whole brainstem idea, it's the brainstem and the limbic system that predators target. Why? Because the minute you attack the reptile brain, the minute you attack the limbic system, you lose your ability to think. And the moment you lose your ability to think, you lose your ability to strategize and respond tactically. One of the things they're going to do, and this is, I'll see if I can find my notes. Like I said, in fact, I'll do it here. What will happen when predators come at you, first thing they're going to do, by the way, are you guys enjoying the webinar so far? If you're enjoying the webinar, go ahead and type yes. And I reclaim my power in the chat. I love that. That was so inspiring, guys. I got to tell you. Right. All right. Okay. Believe it or not, I'm actually attempting very, very hard much to get my other Zoom booted up so I can actually present to you what I put together for you guys. But we'll use this one for now. It's fine. Um, when a predator looks at you, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to assess you. Just like I taught you right now to look at people and assess them, they're going to assess you. They're going to look at you and they're going to look at your clothes and they're going to look at your body language and they're going to look at who you're talking to and how you're talking. They're going to look at the car you drive, the clothes you wear, and they're going to assess you. And then once they make their approach, they're going to test your boundaries. They're going to ask you for something, or they're going to get a little closer to you than would be socially acceptable and see what you do, right? If they approach you and they step within your intimate zone and you step back, they'll do one of two things. They'll either follow you or they'll wait and approach again. Okay. Now, why is this important? The more authority somebody has in your world, this is editorially, not you specifically, but basically speaking, the more we're attracted to somebody, the more authoritative a person is, the more social status a person has, the more likely we are to let them in to our personal zones. Now, that's an abnormally socialized person. By the way, I'm messing with my camera. My camera has this follow function, and I'm changing I'm changing the angles to the I'm driving the camera crazy, right? But they're going to assess that, okay? And then they're going to do they're going to assess they're going to create what we call emotional appeal. They're going to flood you with positive attention to generate attachment. They're going to I call it love bombing or happy bombing. There's a variation of of love bombing that I use in a positive way when I go to customer service places. Many of my students have been with me when I've approached a maitre d' or a waitress or a ticket counter person or a travel agent. And as I approach them, I look them in the eyes, give them a big old smile and say, "Hey, they tell me you're the miracle worker. Is that true?" Right? And they get this big old smile on their face. Their eyes light up and they step into that identity I've just given them and they bend over backwards to help me. Why? Because the first time they laid eyes on me, I made them feel good. I took that crucial 7-second window that every human being, every group generates whenever two people or more meet. There's a 7-second window that determines first impressions. And if you can give somebody this massive hit of dopamine within that first 7-second window, they wind up liking you more and feeling excited about you, right? So when a person walks up to you and they're dressed in an emotionally appealing way. They move with a certain level of comfort and authority in their own skin. They have this playful energy. You're more likely to let them into your personal space. If you're conflict avoidant, remember there's three things that they're looking for, isn't there? If you're conflict avoidant, somebody will step in and you'll either hold your ground or you'll give just a little bit. Well, that signals a flee response. Predators always chase what runs away, right? Predators always chase what runs away, right? You guys got questions on this so far at all? What is the opposite of conflict avoidant? That would be assertive or dominant. A lot of people, for whatever reason, have an issue with the word dominance. So let's just use assertive. Okay. In fact, I go into great detail in Defense Against the Dark Arts, which we're going to be talking about um, pretty soon, as a matter of fact. Um, we talk about the difference between dominance and domineering. Most of your predators are very domineering people. They're not dominant. They try to be dominant, but they can only be dominant with someone that they can domineer, intimidate, or otherwise overpower. Okay. Now, once a person has love bombed you, Tammy says, "Oh, wow, there is people who use their body." Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, people use their body size, right? Faith says, "I feel guilty being dominant. I got shamed for it as a kid." Faith, let me go out on a limb here and say, little girls shouldn't act that way. Is that true or not true? Did you get that message? Yep. Faith, I got two words for whoever said that to you, and I know you probably love them. Horse shit. Little girls need to be assertive. They need to be dominant. They just need to know when. And that's the problem. You see, it's not a question many times, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a question of dominant or not. It's how much and in what context is that okay? And understand that sometimes it's appropriate to be assertive and dominant when other people are not going to like it. You see, we have, again, remember the three characteristics we talked about, right? They have uh, they have this empathic need to help and be of service, right? But they also want you to like them. You want them to like you, right? And it's that desire to be liked, that need for validation that causes you to give up your boundaries, that causes you to go along to get along, right? The problem with a lot of people is their mechanisms stuck. They're either fully fleeing or fully attacking. I've met many women in my life. When they're afraid, they can become aggressive. But it's not assertiveness. It's reactance. It's fear, right? They go into fight or flight. Well, assertiveness is not fight or flight. Assertiveness is the willingness to fight if it becomes necessary after you state your boundaries and you hold your boundaries. Okay. Tammy says, as children, we had no way to defend ourselves, so we had to go. That is true. And that's one of the problems as well. And this is something we tackle in Self-Mastery Supercharger and Identity by Design, is that many of the programs that are keeping us stuck today, we were taught them as a 5-year-old to keep us safe. But we're not 5 years old anymore, are we? Let me ask you a question. This is something one of my mentors used to ask us. How many of you, when you were 5, 6 years old, your mom told you not to play near the street or cross the street? Anybody? Okay. How many of you crossed the street in the last 24 hours? How many of you crossed the street? Ah, so clearly you no longer follow that rule. Why? Because it's no longer necessary. Many of the things that are keeping us stuck are rules we learned as children that we just never stopped doing. No one ever told us we could. Does that make sense? All right. I love talking to you guys, and I have such an enthusiastic group of people that I would just love to I would go another 3 hours if I could, but I can't. My kids are waiting. So let's talk about counter manipulation tactics. By the way, are you guys, do you want me to finish this first thing? Hold on a second. You guys want me to finish the rest of the profiling sequence, or do you want me to go into counter manipulation? You tell me. Okay. All right. So one of the things that's going to happen when somebody wants to intimidate you or manipulate you is they're going to try to get you emotionally off balance. They're trying to they want to give you an emotional spike that short circuits your neocortex, gets you emotional, triggers your fight or flight response. And then because you're highly empathic, because you have a strong need for validation, because you don't want to have a confrontation, you will become more vulnerable to the next thing we're talking about. And so what happens a lot of times is they'll come at you and they'll say, "Who do you think you are? What are you doing?" Right? And they'll get in your face, right? And you're like, you got a little adrenaline spike and things like that, right? There's this process or this little simple technique we use called counterscripts. A counterscript is a little 2 or 3 word phrase that you say that interrupts their thought process and forces them to think. So remember, when a predator's coming at you, they want you to stop thinking and start responding emotionally and from that limbic level or that neocort or the reptilian level, right? They have a strategy and a thought process that they're moving forward in. If you can counterscript them appropriately, now to do this, you have to control your state. I'll be upfront with you. You have to be able to manage the state you're in for that to take place. Okay. All right. Cynthia says, raise an eyebrow, move my head back, and think, what's your issue? Okay, good. So there's 2 phrases that I'm going to give you that you can use right then and there to pattern interrupt them. In other words, they have an emotional charge that they're coming at you with. They're having a certain process running in their brain. If you just give 1 or 2 of these simple phrases, it will force them to stop and think. The moment they stop and think and have to respond to that pattern interrupt, you've now taken the interaction that was picking up speed like a train running out of control, and you've changed its track to a place where you can control it. So the simple counter script I'm going to give you is tell me more. Tell me more. Or say more. Exactly what I'm saying. Say more. 2 words. Say more. So someone's coming at you, say, hey, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing not leaving so early? Say more. What? You see how, and don't believe me, go out and try this, right? Someone starts telling you something, and then you just well, say more. Get really curious. Say more. And they're like, and they're going to start to elaborate on what they were getting at. The moment they start elaborating on what they're getting at, you've stopped the emotional charge. You've deflected them and interrupted their pattern. So now you can do something different, right? Another one that this one you got to be this one you got to be a little bit more softened. You got to soften it just a little bit. And it's what's your point, right? So, what do you think you're doing? Leave us. What's your point? What are you trying to say? Say more. Right? The moment they have to stop, think about it, and give you a thought out response, you've interrupted their process. You've pattern interrupted them. Mhm. Or what are you trying to say? What are you trying to tell me? Right? I'm trying to keep you could do longer counter scripts. I'm trying to keep it within a 2 to 4 word window because we want when we do pattern interrupts, we want them to be fast and easy to deploy. So the say more one is probably the the simplest, the more like kind of a thing. I have a whole list of them. We generated a whole bunch of these for you guys, right? So counter script is a really good way. Again, someone comes at you with a head of steam. You say, well, say more. Hold on a second. Say more. And now all of a sudden they have to kind of unpack everything that was going on in their head, which gives you the opportunity to deflect, to reframe, to do what we call a precision model, which is meta modeling or ask for more questions, right? But it stops that head of steam coming at you, right? Is that useful? Is that helpful? So Cynthia says, I did that. Guy did not like my shirt. He yelled at me, stopped his car, and I said, what's your point? And he was like, ugh. Because they expect you to like yell and argue. Well, what are you trying to say? What are you really trying to tell me? Right? Say more. They want you to fight. They want you to get emotional. Because what happens is a predator feeds on that emotion. They know if they come at you with emotion, you're going to respond with emotion. And the more emotional you get, the more stupid you get. Remember something, guys. Emotion makes people stupid. Excess emotion makes people stupid. Their butt puckers up and their brains drop out. Okay? It's true. Actually, I first learned this idea of defensive pattern interrupts in my martial arts days. And one of my mentors, Dr. John Lawtrey, who passed away a few years back, he had this crazy, he had a couple of things he would do. Like somebody would come at him and actually, no, that was my other Sifu who did that. So there's 2 pattern interrupts I'll share with you from my martial arts days, and then we're going to get into um, a little bit of state control, and then we're going to talk about how to get access to the entire program that we put together for you. Okay, and to do that, I'm gonna beg your indulgence for a moment because I have to boot up another computer and actually load the PowerPoint into that and speak from that because this PowerPoint isn't on this computer. This is my backup. So anyway, so my teacher was telling me one time about this guy who came at him in the parking lot of a bar. Guy said, "Hey, you want to see Paziki?" It's an evil, dirty curse word. And my teacher went, "What? Hey, you shit Paziki? What? hey, you shook. And the guy's like up, and then the guy got too close, and my teacher took him out. Right? Pattern interrupt. It throws people off. Another one of my teachers. In fact, I'm going to his funeral tomorrow. He just passed away. Um, he had a conversation. Seems like martial artists always find themselves in the parking lots of bars. Some guy came at him, and he goes, "Hey, didn't I date your sister?" And the guy went, and boom, took him out. Right? Combative pattern. We use these all the time. Right? Now, I'm not suggesting you go around and pattern interrupt somebody and then knock their lights out. What I am saying is that anytime you interrupt a person's train of thought, it creates a gap in their awareness, in their perception, in their brain that allows you to redirect them in amazing, cool ways. We have a whole course devoted to that. It's called Renegade Reframing, right? And everything about it is switching their mental track. You combine counter scripting with reframing, it's game over. And that's actually what we do in the advanced pattern unbreakable mind stuff is we teach you how to profile, we teach you the counter scripting, and then we teach you the reframes. Right? You guys having fun with this so far? Top 2 takeaways. Type it in the chat. What's the coolest thing you learned so far? Pattern interrupts. Say your point. Your point is very good. Okay, excellent, excellent. So let me see here. All right. I would love if you could just give me 3 minutes to get this other computer booted up. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the packages that we put together for you. Is that okay? Can I show you the whole enchilada? Right? And then I'll teach you a very quick way to go into what we call it's a variation of what we call our master and commander technique, but it's called the laid back mode. It's a way to kind of stay calm and in control in situations, right? I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to go really, really fast with this. Okay, so just give me 1 second. If you guys want to take a quick potty break or something, you can do that. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat, and I'll answer those as soon as I can. Let's do this. Oh, how about that, Mike? Oh, how about... Give me 1 second. I'm going to switch sides. I am cloned. Yes, I. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, let's try that. Are we good now? All right, let me just pull this PowerPoint up for you guys, and then we'll get into it. All right. So if you can hear me, just type I can hear you in the chat. All right, go ahead and do this. Great. Okay, then let's get this party started, as Pink would say, huh? Let me go ahead and share my screen. So I'm excited because we're really decided this year that we're going to expand our mental self-defense trainings into some really cool and exciting areas. And so I'd like to introduce you to the mental self-defense and influence mastery, psychological self-defense and influence mastery, counter manipulation skills home study course. This is about taking your life to the next level and protecting yourself from the people who would want to take your money or make you feel less confident or steal your personal power. For those of you ready to reclaim your life This is your chance. This offer expires December 9th, 2025. It's going to include our Secrets of Human Influence home study course. This is our award-winning killer influence training. It's going to come with 17 videos that are going to teach you everything you need to know to influence people anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance or any reason. Most importantly, though, it's going to teach you the one thing that pisses off predators. It's going to teach you how to become unbreakable, how to have an unbreakable mind, how to have a state that is so rock solid, so unshakable that no one can push your buttons ever again. And if by some chance they catch you off guard, you're going to be able to get back to your mental equilibrium in the shortest amount of time possible and deploy whatever counter manipulation or psychological self-defense tactics you really need to employ. It's going to teach you how to control your state like nobody else has ever taught you how to control your state. It's going to teach you through your physiology as well as your psychology, and why you have to learn physiology first. We're going to teach you how to get rapport with anyone, anytime, under any situation or circumstance, and then use that rapport as a way to tap into their neurology. You guys remember earlier when I was talking about how my students were learning telekinesis through that weird spinal stuff? That is an extension of this. The rapport and state control skills that they were using, they initially learned in Killer Influence and the Secrets of Human Influence training system. Okay, so we're going to teach you how to tap into that and actually influence people's emotions from across the room. But we're going to start with making your own emotions unbreakable, that you can go into any psycho-emotional state at will, on demand, under any situation, and transfer those feelings and emotions to other people. We're going to teach you the most powerful, irresistible hypnotic language patterns that exist. Obviously, counter scripting is cool, right? There's all kinds of other different language patterns for different kinds of effects that you can learn. And we're going to teach you the 7 most powerful ones. Patterns that are really so powerful that they turn everything you say into an instant hypnotic induction. Turns everything you say into this powerfully compelling, emotionally transportational experience for people. It's really fun. You just got to be careful with it sometimes because it can really space people out all the while they're doing what you want them to do. We're going to teach you how to calibrate and manage the emotional states of other people, right? How to hijack someone's internal behavior code. In other words, we're going to teach you, that's a very hyperbolic way of saying we're going to teach you pattern recognition. We're going to teach you how to look at somebody and extract the exact patterns that they're running on so you can use them yourself to get them to do what you want them to do, or, as is often the case, to get them to leave you alone, right? Knowing somebody's pattern gives you the ability to use it to make them do what you want or make them do what you want, right? There is no place in human experience where the ability to recognize and utilize patterns is not powerful and empowering, okay? We're going to teach you how to emotionally bond to anyone's deepest desires, the things that they need to have in their world to feel validated and fulfilled in all the right ways, and link that to what you want them to do in such a way that by doing the thing that they want, they do what you want. It's a complete win-win. This is the most ethical approach to human influence on the planet. And at the same time, it's laying the groundwork to help you reclaim your power in a lot of different other ways that you might think. You see, if you're going to be somebody who is going to move through the world as an agent of influence, right? There's 2 kinds of people in the world. There's people who influence, and there's people who are influenced. One is neither, both are necessary, and we all take turns from time to time. But the place that people are lacking most is in the ability to say no to influence, but also the ability to exert ethical influence. And so this course is going to fill that gap for you. It's going to allow you to get the things you want the way you want them, and still feel good about yourself, to realize that you're moving through the world, leaving them better off than you found them. Total price on this is $2,497. But we've bundled a whole bunch of other cool stuff with this because, again, this is about psychological self-defense as well as influence mastery. So we're also going to include our magnum opus course, The Defense Against the Dark Arts. Now, this program won 2022 and 2023
It was the #1 NLP training program in the world. It dropped to #2 for 2024 and 25. I'm hoping that people will vote it back up to #1 this year for 2026, but we'll see. And it's all about mental self-defense and influencing and behavioral profiling. It's going to teach you how to reframe people, how predators actually select their victims at an even deeper level. We're going to go beyond just the whole need for validation, empathy on overdrive, and avoidance, conflict avoidance behaviors. We're going to show you how different life experiences and life circumstances are things that people look for and how they profile you. We're going to teach you about the 5 steps of psychological influence that all predators use. We're going to teach you the 21 red flags that come up in conversations that predators use to not be held accountable for the things they say and do. We're going to teach you how to spot lies. We're going to teach you the 15 most important lie detection traits that you can get. We're going to teach you about micro expressions. We're going to teach you pattern recognition. We're going to teach you the Fantastic Four. We're going to teach you all these amazingly cool language techniques, as well as how to create a very powerful profile so that you know who you're dealing with in as little as 3 to 6 minutes. You'll know more about those people than they ever wanted you to know. Okay. And you're going to be able to use that to create a powerful understanding of who you're dealing with and what you want to do about it. Okay. We're also going to include, of course, I mentioned earlier, this is our Renegade Reframing program. This is the program where you profile the person, you interrupt their pattern, and you slam them with a reframe. The most important thing about this course, guys, isn't just that it allows you to just derail somebody's thought process in an instant. It's that it allows you to overcome any objection. It allows you to win any argument. It allows you to change any belief, yours or somebody else's, in seconds. Think about this for a moment. What if for every love bomb or neg or criticism that somebody threw at you, you had 14 different ways to just zing them right back, to just neutralize, interrupt their pattern, and turn the tide on them? Would that be empowering? Would that be something that would make you feel more confident, more comfortable, and willing to engage with people? If you actually had a map or a set of processes that you could use. Faith says, love bombing repels me now. Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's the thing you got to know about love bombing, though. And this is what the science shows. Love bombing could also be considered complimenting. Right? How many people have ever been complimented by somebody and they knew the person was not being sincere? Anybody? Right. Here's the thing you need to understand. The science shows us that even when people know the compliment is not completely sincere, it still has a positive effect. People are so starved for validation that even false compliments will actually make them feel better. So even though you say, you can say things like love bombing repels me. Well, the repelling part only happens if you realize they're love bombing you. But what if you think they're sincere? Right? The truth is that even if you know they're not sincere, they're being social, they're telling you a white lie, that dress makes you look, does this dress make me look fat? No, you look amazing. Right? You've gained a few pounds since the last time you wore that dress or those pants, right? Or your beard has a little bit more gray in it than it used to. And they say, oh, you look amazing, right? And maybe you don't believe them, but you know they're being nice. That still has an effect. That's still technically love bombing, right? And if your self-esteem has taken a lot of hits, if you're clinically depressed or you have an identity that's just in the toilet, these things can work on you. Bottom line, though, is I'm going to give you 14 specific patterns and a way to train them so that the moment anybody throws a zinger at you, you have 14 different bullets you can shoot back. 14 different ways to respond instantly. Would that be helpful? This means yes. This means no. Yes. Very good. Okay. So we're going to include this absolutely free. It's a $1,997 value. It's yours. Just grab your package, join the program, and let's start our Unbreakable Mind training together. Total combined value, if you're to do the math on this, is with all the things I've talked about so far, $6,491. We're also going to include a program that I think is really important for people. It's called Charisma and Conversion. And this is, in the context that we're here to learn it, this is a form of self-defense that you wouldn't think you'd have to defend yourself from. How many of you have ever gone to a seminar and bought everything they offered you? Anybody? Right? Jill says me, Faith says me, E says me. Do you know how they did that? I'm going to show you how they did it. It's in this course, right? You see, every good trainer, and let me tell you something, there's a lot of people out there who are saying that NLP is pseudoscience and is this and is that. If it's such a pseudoscience, why is everybody on the planet using it? Even people who claim to not teach NLP, who poo-poo NLP, are using NLP. If it's such a pseudoscience and it doesn't work and it's all bogus, why are they fucking using it? Sorry, every marketer I know is using NLP. Every public speaker who's worth a damn is using NLP, but they're not using it in the way you think. They're using it to change the way you think. They're using it to influence what you think about and how you think about it. And that's what charisma conversion is all about. Charisma conversion is to teach you how to use powerful stage craft, how to stand on a stage, how to hold a microphone, persuasion architecture, how to design a talk that makes people want to do what you want them to do automatically, subliminally. It closes them invisibly. How to think of you as completely authentic and truthful and just salivate to become a client or buy your product or service. Or if you're using it to teach, how to learn your material even faster. It's going to teach you all those things. But here's what else it's going to teach you. It's going to teach you the secrets behind the secrets. It's going to teach you the secret NLP and covert hypnosis methods that A-list speakers are using every single day to hypnotically program you to rush to the back of the room and buy everything they're offering. It's going to teach you how they do it, how you can do it, and how to recognize it so that when you go to these seminars, you're prepared and the flags will go off so that you don't blow $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on something you don't need or something that they've brainwashed you into thinking is going to change your life and left a lot of things out. Now, I'm not here to point fingers at anyone, right? But I will tell you that there's some very, very high-level speakers who would never want you to know the NLP that they're using. I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull back the curtain, so to speak, and I'm going to give you the ability to not only use these skills to build your business in an ethical and honest way, I'm going to teach you how to spot it so you can avoid it if that's what you want to do. Is that fair? Is that okay? To prepare you for the life in general, right? So let's look at this, right? Let's look at what we got. You're going to get the Secrets of Human or the Mental Self-Defense and Influence Mastery package. Includes 17 videos of core training, the 7-stage universal persuasion protocol that all my students have to learn, and it never changes, and it only becomes more powerful as you evolve in the systems. It's a $2,497 value. We're going to throw in our special killer influence, defense against the dark arts, mental self-defense, counter manipulation, and influence mastery training. It's a $1,997 value, yours. All right, we're going to just throw it in for free. We're going to give you the Renegade Reframing bonus so that you can change any belief, overcome any objection, turn back, and counter any insult or argument you find yourself in instantly. First person you're going to use this on, by the way, is yourself to get rid of all your limiting beliefs. And then once you're empowered that way and you've reclaimed your power that way, now you can apply it out there in the world. It's a $1,997 value. And of course, we're going to throw in charisma and conversion. It's the fastest, most effective way to prepare you for all the webinars that you're watching and all the seminars that you go to, right? Or you've ever had people rushing, if you've ever found yourself rushing to the back of the room with the rest of the herd to just buy something and never used it, this is what was done to you. We're going to show you how that works and how you can use it in an ethical and honest way to make more money and have better clients and better outcomes in your trainings and your seminars. Total value on this is $8,488 if you were to buy it individually on our website. Of course, we're not going to do that. Today, I want you to have the best deal humanly possible. So as you can probably imagine, it's not going to be $84.88 or $64.88. Heck, let's cut to the chase. It's not even going to be half price, right? You grab yours today, you can get everything for our holiday special for one low installment of $797 or 3 easy installments of $397 each. It's really simple, right? All you got to do is go to www.nlppower.com/DADA. It's nlppower.com/DADA. It's Defense Against Dark Arts. Okay. Now, everything that we're teaching you comes with a full 60-day money-back guarantee. If by day 59 of this training, you're not on the fast track to feeling more confident, reclaiming your power, making more money, closing more deals, being able to stand up to the bullies and the bad guys in a way you never thought you could, if you're not finding yourself working from that place of enlightened selfishness where you're saying, okay, what's good for me? Right? Why am I doing this for me? Right? In a way that makes you feel okay with it. Right? If you're not on the fast track to feeling more secure and confident and powerful, if you're not winning any social encounter or personal romantic encounter or professional encounter, where before you be the one with the, just shutting up and dumbing down and retreating, if you're not turning the tables on those situations by day 59, you just let us know. And we will refund every penny you invested. Why? Because we want you to find something that works. We know this works. We know this works. We've proven it thousands and thousands and thousands of times in real world scenarios. My students could fill books with all the amazing experiences they've had turning the tables on people, getting their outcome, upping their closing rates by as high as 40, 50%. There's so many things that we haven't told you this program will do for you. We want you to experience that. But if by day 59, you're not experiencing those changes and transformations, we want you to be happy. So you keep everything you downloaded and we'll refund your money. You have nothing to risk and everything to gain. Okay. That's my promise to you. Okay. Go to nlppower.com/DADA. And if you act now, you're also going to get these following fast action bonuses. Oh, Barb says just purchased Killer Influence and loved it. Yes, we love that. All right. We love people who love our stuff, right? You're going to get a 3-day, not 3-day. You're going to get a 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. This is our monthly online hands-on skill building group training that we get together on the third Saturday of every month, usually from about 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we roll up our sleeves. We create a lesson plan for you guys on the spot. I ask you what you want to learn, and we practice those skills. And we just drill and we drill and we drill from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. most days. On weeks when our months where I have trainings, and we skip one, we do a double long mastermind where we'll go from 10 to 6 instead of 11 to 4. And we just keep training and training and training. This is the bridge between abstract theoretical knowledge and hands-on real world skills. This is the place where you find your tribe. This is the place where you meet people just like you who are fascinated by these skills and who want to get better at them out in the real world. You will never make better friends than you will through the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. You'll never find a better group of people to help you train and practice and support you with. I'm very, very proud of the people in the group. We're going to give you 90 days, 3 months to test it out. You come in, try it for 90 days. If after the end of 90 days, you're loving it, you want to stay, we'll show you how to extend your membership. If after 90 days, you got what you needed or it just wasn't for you, no muss, no fuss. We'll show you how to exit the program and we'll wish you the best of luck. You not only will you get the 3-month trial membership, you'll also get access to our 11-year video archive. It's actually 15 years. We started October of this year was actually our 15-year anniversary. We have videotaped or video recorded every single NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring practice group since October 2010. We've archived those on our website. We've archived those on our private Facebook group. We've archived those on our Kajabi website and NLP Power websites. And you have unfettered, complete access to the entire 11-year archive, stuff that's never been seen on YouTube, never been featured in a product or anything like that. And it's yours. It's a $1,597 value. We're going to give it to you free. Why? Because we want you to succeed. We want you to be surrounded by people who want the things you want and who want looking to practice the skills you want to practice. One of the most fun things you can do when you get your Renegade Reframing course, in the back of that manual, there's a little card game. You just print out the cards and you cut them up, and you can literally like have drinking games and play Go Fish, where you spit out a limiting belief or an argument, and you pick a reframe card and you use that reframe to just completely pattern interrupt and beat it. It's a fun way to get really fast on your feet and be able to come up with a response instantly. And we turned that into a game. We included it in the Renegade Reframing Home Study course. We're also going to give you the Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course. This is a fast action bonus. This is for people who don't want to spend 40 hours to learn how to do something. You watch 2 hours of video and you're out hypnotizing people that day, if that's what you want to do. It comes with MP3s, manuals, workbooks. You can listen to it. I don't recommend you listen to it while you're driving, but people do. It comes with transcripts. It comes with bonus videos on lie detection, anchoring, hypnotic hot buttons, all kinds of amazing material. I think there's even one in there on instant and rapid. In fact, I know there is. There's a course on instant and rapid inductions in there that you can. I think you can watch that one or that 90-minute video, go out and just be dropping people in trance. Make sure you get their permission first. Otherwise, it's called assault, and we don't want anybody getting arrested. Anyway, I know I'm talking 100 miles a minute. The reason is because I want to get through this, get you excited about it, but I also want to make sure we have time to do some of the state control training that I promised you as a way for us to kind of round out the webinar and make sure you guys have everything that you need. So the Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course is the fastest, easiest, most effective way to start influencing people within just a couple of hours. It's a $997 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free. Because we want you to have the very best training and we want you to be able to use it as quickly as possible. Last but not least, for those of you might have heard me talk about this, we're going to teach you how to find those gaps in your identity, those gaps in your self-esteem, that need for validation we've been talking about, those boundaries that are kind of wishy-washy, how to be okay with confronting people and becoming more assertive and dominant. We're going to show you how to do that. Not only are we going to show you how to do that, we're going to help you become it. On December 19th, 20th, and 21st, online through Zoom, we are hosting our next Self-Mastery Supercharger Self-Transformation Hypnosis Bootcamp. This is a proven program for reprogramming your mind to have more confidence, influence, and assertiveness. It's designed to systematically remove all those holes in your identity that are keeping you stuck. It's going to help teach you how to eliminate fear and hesitation and self-doubt, how to install unshakable inner confidence and an unbreakable mind, how to command attention without saying a word, how to use neurohypnotic patterns to inspire change, create instant trust and deep rapport, speak power words that move people's minds and emotions, specifically your own, to fuse manipulation and conflict in seconds, influence people smoothly without resistance, speak less and influence people more. Bottom line, you're going to close more deals, win more negotiations, have a lot more harmony and peace and comfort in your communications. And we're going to teach you the success codes used by elite performers that allow you to install and adopt the same qualities, characteristics, and attributes into your mind and body. The Self-Mastery Supercharger program is a program designed specifically to teach you how to change yourself. We'll teach you how to find the things that need changing. We'll teach you the 7 stages of identity by design transformation and how to, we're going to guide you through those in many different ways. And on day 3 rather, you're going to learn how to do it all to yourself, by yourself. And you'll be able to do it in as little as 8 minutes. What if you could change just about anything about you in under 8 minutes? Would that be a helpful skill to have? Right? I promise you, if you follow the training the way we're going to teach it to you, you will be able to do that. And if we don't, we'll give you your money back. It's that simple. Okay? So that's what I got for you. Now, normally to walk in the door for this, it's about $2,497. But if you're one of the next 21 people to click that link right now, I'm going to give it to you absolutely free. That's what I said. You're going to get a 3-day live training with me on how to change everything about you that you want to change in less than 3 days for free. Total combined value on this is $2,497. The regular price, right? Total combined value is $13,579. But if you're one of the first 21 people today, you're going to get it all for $797. So let's look at what we got. And hopefully I have, I need to update the links. Apparently I did not update the links on this PowerPoint. Anyway, Secrets of Human Influence Home Study Course, $2,497 value. Defense Against the Dark Arts, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you for free. The Renegade Reframing Home Study Course, $1,997 for free. We're going to give you Charisma Conversion, the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program for $1,597. Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, valued at $997. And of course, the Self-Mastery Supercharger, December 19th through the 21st. It's going to be an online course. You don't have to travel anywhere. It's all through Zoom. And please disregard, I'm so embarrassed that I did not change the links on this PowerPoint. I thought I had everything today. Anyway, but the link you want is nlppower.com/DADA. nlppower.com/DADA. All right. So anyway, normally I would give you guys a break to do this. But what we're going to do instead is we're just going to go right into a Q&A while you guys are filling out your links. Now, Moss and Mia are waiting in the wings to answer any questions you have about the products. But I'm happy to do that now as well. Go ahead and type any questions that you have in the chat. You brothers and sisters out in YouTube land, I'm sorry I couldn't get the chat open for you guys. I missed not being able to talk to you. We had some weird technical issues today, which is kind of weird. Well, it's not really weird in my world, but they all came to a head at the last minute, which is always interesting. All right. For those of you who have questions about if you see anything in this package that you've already purchased previously, let us know. Reach out to Mia, reach out to Moss, and we will let you swap out any product in our catalog that is of equal or lesser value. So if let's say you've already purchased Defense Against the Dark Arts home study course in the past, well, that's fine. Go through our catalog with Moss or Mia, and we'll help you find something that's roughly the same price, and we'll swap it out for you so you get a customized package. Let's say that maybe you've been through Identity by Design, but you like the idea of the Self-Mastery Supercharger, and you think it might be good for your partner or your son or your daughter, and you want them to learn how to reprogram their own subconscious mind. Well, you can gift your ticket to them, and they can come in your place, right? The VIP ticket for Self-Mastery never goes away. It's always, you have it until you use it. So if it takes you 5 years to come to an event, well, it's there for you. If we raise the price between now and then when you come, you don't pay the difference. You got a free ticket. If it's $49.97, you still get it, right? With inflation, the way these things are going these days, you never know what we're going to be charging, but you get in free. Okay. Let's see. What other questions might you have if you had any other questions? Okay. Tammy, if there's nothing you want to swap, but there's something you'd like to add, call Moss at 858-282-4663, or if you want to do it through email, you can reach out to Mia. And if you want to add something to the program, there might be a way for us to give you a little bit of an extra discount on an additional product. I don't normally do that, but I just saw that you don't want to give up anything either. So that was the best I could think of at the moment. But you guys have been amazing. I just want you to know that I think the past 4 or 5 months I've been doing webinars. This has got to be easily one of the most enthusiastic groups that I've had the pleasure to work with. And maybe it's just because you're maybe it's the topic, maybe it's just post-holiday getting back on track or whatever. But I really want you to know how much I appreciate all of you for coming out here and playing with me. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here. And what other questions do you have, if any, about the content we've covered today? What would now be a good time to ask? Okay. So then what we're going to do really quick, like Barb says, thank you. I love what I have. We'll expand to more when okay, great. All right. So since we're coming onto the home stretch, I promised you one last technique, and this goes back to what we call the unbreakable part of the unbreakable mindfulness. I was going to cover the ASP master key, but I think what's more important for us is state work. We're going to teach you a really powerful way to take on a more confident, centered state. So first thing to understand is that if you want to have a state available on tap, on demand, you must practice it. You must rehearse it. Mia says, how do you not take insults personally from YouTube? Realize that the person who's insulting you isn't seeing you. The insults a person makes are always about something in that person's past, not the person in front of them. The reason people if you've ever looked at somebody and instantly dislike them, believe you me, it was not about them. What you experienced was something about them reminded you of somebody in your past who hurt you. And that is what you're responding to. Now, that takes a lot of exposure to really, and a lot of deep study to be willing to accept, because it's in our nature to take any form of assault personally, to believe that what a person is attacking is truly us. And 99% of the time, it's not. The attacks that are coming at us are generated by a memory in that other person's mind that they're projecting onto you. Jill says, my internet is going in and out. Welcome to my world, Jill. So Jan says, please say that again. What specifically, Jan, would you like me to say again? All right, well, I'm going to guess, and then I'm going to teach you this really quick technique, how to not take insults personally, then panic. Okay, so remember something. Your physiology controls your psychology. I'm going to say that 3 times, so when you watch the replay, again, and when you get your defense against the dark arts and your secrets, when you get your package, everything I'm teaching you times 10 is going to be the first thing you learn. Right? You're going to learn the most powerful thing you can learn is how to control your state. Part of that is being uninsultable. The first thing to understand about being uninsultable is that when a person lobs an insult at you, they're trying to get your attention. Period. They want your attention. Right? The fact that they want your attention means that in some way they see you as superior to them. They see you as some way having something that they covet or want. The flip side of that is that many times what they're seeing about you has nothing to do with you. They're seeing something about how you speak, what you wear, the environment you're in, the context that reminds them of a time in their life when a similar situation or a similar person showed up and they got injured or they got hurt or they got disempowered in some way. There's a high probability that when someone just blatantly attacks you for no friggin' reason, it's not about you. And that's where your pattern erupts. That's a great place to go. Wait, say more? Just so I understand you better, you just told me this. Were you intentionally trying to insult me, or was there something else behind that? The moment you get them out of that emotional predatory phase and into that neocortical phase where they're having to think and give you information, you now have a chance to change and reframe that insult. But remember, there's a high probability that when they lob an insult at you, especially if it's someone you don't know, it's never about you. It never was about you. There's just something about how you're talking, what you're wearing, the color of your hair, the facial hair, the environment that reminds them of a time in their life when they were hurt. That actually works. Does someone need a hug? You got to be careful with that, though, right? All right, so my clock is running. So here's the thing I want you to understand. You know what? Here, let's do this. I'm going to run you through a very quick process, and then I want you to go back and watch this replay, especially after you click the link. And if you get the programs that I'm sharing with you, and you got everything will be spelled out step by step by step. But I only got like 8 minutes to give you guys this experience. I want you to close your eyes right now. If you're driving, don't do this. If you're driving, don't do this. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think back to a time in your life when you confronted somebody and you were in your power. A time when you actually stood up for yourself. There was something that needed to be addressed, a right that needed to be, a wrong that needed to be corrected, some correction that needed to be made, and you did it. And it worked out great. Worked out great. I want you to remember that moment. Now, post-webinar, I want you to get out a piece of paper and write down at least 10 times in your life when that happened. Post-webinar, I want you to write 10 times in your life where you did exactly what I just described. There was a situation that needed to be corrected. You stood up, you confronted, you argued, you explained your situation, you explained your case, and you won. And I want you to remember that moment of victory. Right? I want you to write at least 10 of those down and do this process. Close your eyes. Remember that time in your life when you stood up for yourself, when you saw something you wanted, something that needed to be corrected, and you said, I'm going to do this. This just has to happen. And you stood up and you looked that person in the eye and you made your case and you explained it eloquently and powerfully, and they got it and they did what you wanted. The situation changed. I want you to remember that moment of clarity, that moment of being balanced and assertive and willing to speak your truth and state your case and hold your boundaries. Standing in the light of your truth, whatever word you use to assign. I want you to remember that moment. I want you to see what you were seeing. I want you to hear what you were hearing. I want you to smell and taste what you were smelling and tasting in that moment. Most importantly, I want you to stand if you were standing, the way you were standing in that moment. Breathe the way you were breathing in that moment. And close your eyes. And when you see what you see, and you hear what you hear, and you smell and you taste what you smell and you taste, there's an amazing, empowered, confident, assertive feeling that you get. A feeling that lets you know you're safe, you're powerful, you're in control. You're seen and you're heard. And I'd like you to notice that there's a place in your body where those amazing feelings start. where they grow, where they spread from. Take a moment, notice where you feel that, and point to it. And as you notice where you feel it, I want you to notice that there's a color, maybe even a series of colors connected to those amazing feelings. What color or colors might that be for you? First impression. Whatever it is, imagine a brilliant ball of that energy floating above your head. Notice how the feelings in your body shift and change as with every breath you take and every beat of your heart, that amazing ball of certainty and confidence and assertiveness begins to grow, begins to expand, begins to fill the entire room from floor to ceiling, from wall to wall, and all points in between. Notice how it wraps itself around you like an amazing blanket of assertiveness, confidence, certainty. A cocoon, a shield, a suit of armor, insulating you, protecting you from all doubts, all permeable boundaries, real or imagined, while at the same time flooding your mind, flooding your body, flooding your spirit with everything it most wants, everything it most needs in an infinite, ever expanding and unlimited supply. And when you know you've got that, breathe those colors through your entire being. Let it fill you up like water fills up a bottle, like fluid fills up a test tube, like hot air or helium fills up a balloon. Anchor it in so fully, so completely. No force in the universe can turn it off or take it away, not even you. And when you realize it's true, it's locked in, possible to turn off, test it. Try to go back to that old wishy-washy version of yourself and notice what happens instead. When you're satisfied, go ahead and stop testing. Allow that energy to flow even stronger. Scan your body, notice how different you feel. When you're satisfied, stop testing, and type for me in the chat, what just happened? I just burped loads. You've been swallowing some stuff for a long time there, kiddo. We'll get that out of you. By the way, yawning, burping, coughing, choking, wheezing, sweating, heat, all very normal. If your body did any kind of weird physiological things, that means something's happening. Faith says, I feel empowered. Jan says, I feel lighter. Very good. Now, after you click your links and you enroll in the full program, I'll show you how to amplify that 10x, 100x, right? I'll show you how to step into any state you want, any time you want, for any reason that you want. And that's just the beginning, okay? So last call for you guys. Go ahead, and Jill says, I feel empowered as well. Very good. Jan says, the other Jan Bravo says, that felt wonderful. Excellent. This is just the beginning. If you want to take yourself off the menu, you must move through the world with a sense of personal power, command, and authority that lets people know you're not going to back down. This is where it starts. This is the very tip of a very, very large iceberg. Click your links, and I will see you on the other side. Mia, can we have those links one last time for folks? NLPpower.com/DA. If you enjoyed this webinar, please share it. In fact, one of the things you can do for me now after you click your links is type in the top 2 things you take away, your top 3 takeaways from tonight. Type it in the chat. Top 3 things you learned from tonight. Thank you, Edie. I'm going to do my best. Three criteria: predators and pattern interrupts. Thank you, Barb. When you get to Barbara, when you get to your defense against the dark arts class, you're going to expand on that dramatically. Rajneesh says, thank you. Kaya says, sympathy as distinction too. Yes. Oh, man. Kaya went nuts on us here. Hold on a second. Pattern predators. Oh, very good. Excellent. Liana says, pattern interrupt and 2 phases to stop it. Phrases to stop it. Lottie says, yummy, responsible adult feeling that felt good in my body. You're welcome. All right. Bonnie says, thank you. Lots of hearts and flowers. All right. You guys rocked it. I love you all. we'll see you guys on the other side. And by all means, please like and share, pass things out to the world, and let's kick some ass. I love y'all. Good night and God bless. Take care.